In this demonstration, I am going to show you a few examples of how to continue to work on your terrain and get some of the more desirable topology. So this is the terrain that we've been working on for our demonstration, and as you can see, there's been some artifact less desirable artifacting that's happened as a result of displacing our terrain with the height field map. There's stretching in the polygon configuration, so what we're going to do is turn on our edge faces, and you can see that there's quite a bit of stretching along this hillside because of the dramatic grayscale of the height field terrain. So we're just going to work on minimizing that effect, and how we do that is to select the last modifier on the top of your stack over here, follow my cursor, and then we're going to place another modifier on top of the stack called Edit Poly, and you will see that there are a number of rollout menus. We're going to go all the way to the bottom where it says Paint Deformation, and it'll likely be closed like this, so we'll want to click on the plus and open this tool set here. And what I'm going to do, there's two options here. There's push and pull, and you Maya users will recognize the effect of that on the mesh deformation tools in Maya, but there's also relax, which is also part of the Maya tool set for Artisan. But we're going to go ahead and work on relaxing this stretching effect. So we click on relax. Down here we have brush size. You can modify your brush size. You can also dial your brush strength up and down, but if you click on brush options, you'll find a number of other options available. But for this example, we're just going to be using relax. So as I click my left mouse button and drag it over the surface, it will begin to relax the mesh into a more desirable layout. And this is going to take some time because we have a stack that is not collapsed, and so why don't we go ahead and I'll show you how to collapse that stack. This is a modifier that cannot you cannot go back and continue to modify it once you've used it, so there's no harm in collapsing the stack, and I can do that by clicking on the top deformer or modifier in the top of the stack, right clicking and choosing the option collapse all, and it's going to give you a warning. You can just say yes, I understand, and now what you can do is you still have access, because it's in Editable Poly, you have access to the paint deformation tools, and you can continue to relax, and you can see that it is working much faster now. So go ahead and smooth down the terrain and get the desired effect, and go ahead and work around your mesh wherever that terrain happens to be. There's not much of it, but a little bit. You can continue to relax around those areas to get a much nicer quality hillside. Alright, and that is one method that you can continue to work on your terrain. Now the other thing I wanted to show you in this tutorial is some artifacting that may have happened with your height maps that you are creating. So I've applied a number of examples that I have found in the Google resources, and we are going to use this for example only. But here you can see what looks like a terrace effect, And some of that, depending on the type of terrain that you are using, may be desirable, but for the most part it simply looks like a topographical map. And as we were creating the first stage of our height map in Photoshop, where we simply filled the areas, the different elevations with grayscale, if you did no blending at all and brought that map in, you can see what the effect would be. So this is virtually no blending between the shapes. Now, this might be desirable, and if it is, that's fine, but in the natural world you will still see some eroding of the drainage areas. So be very aware of what the natural features in the natural world would do, and you can get a much more natural looking terrain for your world. Alright, so what we're going to do, I can show you how to modify this one, is select on that one. You can see I put a number of different types in here, but we're going to go ahead and modify this one generally the same way. We're going to click on the Relax tool and get in here and erode away or relax these faces so that you get a much more natural looking topology for your terrain. Alright, so you can see if I turn off the edged faces that we're getting a much more smoother appearance to those drainage areas, which would likely happen in the natural world. Most often where you see this terracing effect is in the deserts, where there's dramatic amount of rainfall and really no foliage to speak of that would prohibit the eroding of the soil. Alright, on to the next. I've applied another example, and this one appears to be an island. So I went ahead and threw in a planar surface for representing the water level on this terrain, and you can see it has some really nice little features that are you're able to see protruding out of the water. And as we raise and lower our water level, you can get more of that. And again, you can use your push-pull. Go ahead and apply the Edit Poly. Down at the bottom, your paint deformation tools, push-pull, and you can begin to create your own. Oops, we still have our water selected. No, I don't think we want to deform, displace our water. Have it? Just pull it around. Alright, I think we've got the right one. So Edit Poly and paint deformation, push and pull, and you can go ahead and begin. It's quite powerful. So you can dial down your brush strength, or actually your push-pull value. I'm just going to type in 5, and it's half of the value that was in there before. Let's see what that does. Yes, you can play with that and begin to build up your surface in areas that you didn't quite accomplish what you wanted to with your height field map. Alright. And another type of map that I'd like to talk about is one that looked like it was started by pulling it off of Google Earth. And you can see there's terracing happening here. Wherever you get a vast difference in the grayscale value, such as you go to something that's pretty light, pretty radically to something that's dark, you're going to get this terracing effect. So the height maps that work best are ones that have gradual, or a little bit more gradual gradation from the largest or the lowest point of your height map to the highest point. So many of these are very effective. This one is representative of a map that just has too much fine detail in it. You get a real lumpy quality. You can go in and smooth that out, but it's probably much easier to be aware of that again in advance so that you can create your height map or modify your height map accordingly. Just another one that's pretty effective with the nice peaks and valleys. It's quite beautiful. And of course these are representative of perhaps something you'd see in Colorado or Wyoming, so they would not have grasses on the peaks, and you'll want to take that into consideration when you're creating your texture map. Give yourself some barren rock areas at the top there. Alright, so that concludes this portion of how to continue to iterate on your terrain after you've applied your height map.